Val Kilmer's daughter, Mercedes, who's with us now. Good morning.
Hi, Mercedes. Good morning.
It's just been a year since your dad passed, far too young. How are you and your brother Jack doing?
We're doing well. We're, it's an honor to be able to be here talking about this. If my dad were alive, he would be doing his press tour. So, yeah, it's an honor to get to be here on his behalf.
This was a project that he felt very passionately about and approved the use of AI so that he could complete and be part of this film. Can you take us inside how he felt about it, why this project meant so much to him and this decision?
Yes, I can. So this project was offered to him initially in, I think, 2018, before the pandemic. And then the production got stalled because of that. And eventually, his voice became weakened by his illness, so he was able to use AI to generate a voice for the character. And then they also got into sort of the creative elements of that and thinking of the character in the film speaks like 1920s Navajo language, which was the language that they were able to sort of recover for the film, which is, like, I think a really, like, ethical, interesting use of the technology. Like, if we're going to have this, we can make things that expand the possibilities of what we can do as humans, not to replace them, if that makes sense. Anyway, so he was offered this, and then he couldn't act the role, but he really wanted to be involved in the film. My dad was for a long time the head of the Film Commission in New Mexico, so he was involved in bringing a lot of tax credits in the 2000s to the state, and his involvement allowed the project to get funding during COVID, which is a time that they really needed it. So,
you know, Mercedes, I'm sure you're aware there is this ongoing debate right now about artificial intelligence, the ethical use of AI. I know you've gotten some probably unkind comments since the decision was made by the family to allow this to happen. What would you say to people who have been somewhat critical of...
It's interesting that you say that. I think it's so fascinating to see the responses, and they are really justified. I think that's why my dad really wanted to do this, because, you know, my dad would always talk about, as I said to the producer yesterday, like, he would always be like, I wish I got an apartment in Brooklyn in the 80s. Like, coming in from 2018 to now, and solidifying structures for actors to own their licensing and to have rights. Like, my dad was very passionate, this is the time, before these laws are written, to make sure that there's a structure for compensation, to make sure that the actors get paid on par with what they would get paid if they were physically doing it. And if it creates more jobs in that way, that's wonderful. And I think this is a really historic precedent, and I'm really proud of him. It started off as something to overcome the limitations of his illness, but then it evolved into something that he really was like, oh wait, I have a chance to actually set a precedent that now other actors will say, no, well, Val Kilmer, they structured his contract in that way. And so I think it's, to your point, I have gotten some negative comments. It's kind of fallen into two camps. People that maybe have a more precarious position in the industry are worried and see AI as a threat, which is absolutely valid.
Younger actors.
Younger people, yeah, younger actors and musicians. I'm a musician. A lot of people that I know, like, we're so scared of this technology. And then at the same time, I've gotten a lot of, like, really good responses from people, older people maybe more established in the industry, that see it as a way to protect the actors' ownership of their IP. And so that's what I would say to that, is that we have to contend with this technology one way or the other, and, like, avoiding it is not necessarily the way. It's much easier to point to it's much easier to structure the rights if you proactively license something.
Right. There seems to be, Mercedes, just the idea of, like, this could work if it's ethical. I know the Voorhees brothers, the filmmakers, said this is a good blueprint for ethical use of AI. Your main job in the estate is to protect the legacy of your dad.
Exactly.
I'm thinking about this technology moving forward, and for other estates, like I'm thinking Marilyn Monroe or James Dean. What is your advice to put in boundaries to use this technology in the future?
I don't know if I could speak to that, because my dad knew about this project, and so I don't know what the ethics of someone...
What was important to you about protecting Val's?
this project gave us an opportunity to make sure that if someone in the future uses his likeness unauthorized, we can say, oh no, look, this is what you're supposed to do, rather than try to hypothetically prove what it would be like.
Yeah.
And you don't know if you would, for example, in another project, another use of his voice, this was something that he knew was happening, that he approved of and wanted to.
And as I said, like this project brought hundreds of jobs to the Navajo Nation during COVID when they were really needed them. And I think there were a lot of benefits in the real world of him doing this.
Yeah.
Is this something that your family would consider doing again?
No, because I wouldn't just put his likeness in something that without his permission necessarily. There's just certain things that he talked about, ways to use it, that we may do eventually. We also don't know. There may be video games based on characters that he made.
A Batman game.
Yeah.
Exactly, something like that could happen, and so now we know that we're protected from. Now we know that my dad, our family can protect the use of that.
Mercedes, thank you for being here.
Thank you so
it's
much.
clear how much thought you and your brother have put into this, and I know you cared for your dad a long, long time. So thank you for being here. We really appreciate having you.
Thanks, Mercedes.
It's a great conversation, and really
it's the beginning. We're going to have this
very
conversation.
valuable hearing of all the different issues at play, and well stated.
There's a lot. Thanks, Mercedes. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.